All right, so Braden, I want to go ahead and start off with a question that I ask everyone who comes on the podcast. Mm-hmm. If you were a WWE wrestler, what would your name be, and what would your walkout theme song be?
Oh, I think my name would be. How far can I go with this? Like, can it be kind of bad?
Whatever the internet can take. Whatever.
I have something in mind. I really don't want to say it.
Why does everybody say that?
I know. It's stupid. I'll tell you later.
All right.
You don't get to know. Oh, man. I think I'm going to go with The Golden Boy.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then What's Up Danger by Black Caviar.
That's a good one. It's a good
skiing one.
No, I like that.
I listen to that when I want to get super intense into something.
What's up, Danger? Dude, I listen to that like on a run, dude. I just want to start sprinting.
Dude, you just feel it.
And then you get exhausted. You're like, okay, that was a horrible idea. That was bad. I regret that. Then you're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
It's such a good song. It gets your blood pumping.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Well, welcome back, everybody, to episode 4, I think this is. And today I'm joined by a brand new special guest. You've seen the couch. We got rid of it to put down the chair because this one is not any regular episode. This is a very special one with a very special guest, Braden Barrett.
Hi.
Great to have you on here.
I am really happy that I'm in this chair.
Yeah? Is it comfy?
Dude, I was feeling it earlier.
Yeah.
So comfy.
No, 100%.
I really appreciate that very nice and warm opening, so thank you so much.
Of course. No, I mean, so reason I wanted to have you on here really was because you just have such a good energy about you. Like whenever you walk into the room, you people gravitate towards you, or you gravitate towards people. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know it's so hard sometimes because so many people don't want to reach out, but you always go to them and you always come at them with like a smile and a hug, how you doing? And I think one of my favorite things about you is that if you come at them like, hey, how you doing? And they come at you like, I'm doing okay. They don't like match your energy. Mm-hmm. Then you like go down to meet them where they're at. You'd be like, hey, are you okay? What's up? What's going on? And so I love that about you. And I admire that about you. I think it's great to have you on this campus just because you bring that light, you bring that energy to everybody. And so I wanted to have you on the podcast because of that energy, because of the smiles that you bring to so many people's faces. So thank you once again for agreeing to do this.
Man, that was so sweet. I don't take compliments very well.
I hear you.
I'm not the best at it.
Yep.
But I really appreciate what you said because it makes me feel seen. It makes me feel like I don't know. It was just really kind and it made my heart happy.
Of course, man.
I really appreciate that.
Of course. No, I mean it's great, dude. Like I remember you were one of the first people that I talked to when I got here. Open Warrior Weekend, you're the first person that put your contact in my phone, I think, or at least one of the first, one of the first few. So I'm really glad for that. I'm really glad that we connected. So one of the things I wanted to ask is because oh my word, and you would know this, you see so many people today, and this is not a knock on anybody. Everybody has their own things they're going through, but you see so many people today and they're just walking around like, it's another Monday, more of this, don't want to do this again. And you are just such a contrast to that. And I just want to ask, where does that, two-parter. Where does that come from? And were you always like that?
Good question. I wake up every morning not wanting to get up,
Really?
I never want to get up. I always think it's a drag, but as soon as I get up, I'm kind of filled with the energy of the spirit a little bit. And it is so nice. Because it is. Sorry, I was talking away from the mic. It is so nice because I just I count my blessings. I'm very grateful. Whatever he's put in my life, and it's so easy to sit, because I know I'm already gonna get into it a little bit. It's so easy to kind of just sit in this sadness and this place of just despair a little bit, especially on a Monday.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's the start of the week. You don't want to do anything. Classes start, and you're like, I have to start this whole cycle over again. Yeah. I only get 2 days off.
Yep.
And so it's just every day is a new opportunity to do something new. Every day is a new opportunity to meet someone new, and then every day is a new opportunity to experience something new. And so like I get up and I go to Blue Hill and I see these people and I'm like, I love these people. Some of them get on my nerves a lot, but that's just because like I SWU, like it is very much like for me, like it's a family. Like it is very easy to make very shallow relationships here, 100%.
Right.
But like the more like you're with someone and like I was talking to two of my friends and I was like, you guys are very much like my family because like I get very irritated with you guys, but like there was nothing I wouldn't do for you.
I think I was there. Yeah.
Yeah. It was
yeah.
It was so nice because like I realized that as well. And I know that this is going way off topic, but like
go for it.
I just get up for me, like I get up every morning, you know, and I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for like be able to have breath in my lungs. I'm grateful for the people God has put in my life. I'm thankful for that He got me where I'm at. Like, I think without that faith, like my life is very sad. You know, like I very much like would sit in that despair if it wasn't for the faith that I have for Jesus. You know, because he has provided me a lot of blessings in my life, and I don't know what I would do like without feeling like I had to return the favor of doing that for other people as well as like making their day happy, and making sure they're checked up on, you know, like making sure like other people are good, you know. So it's very much like that. And I know people who do that don't check up on themselves. Like I have people that love and care for me and make sure I'm like very well taken care of, and it's nice, you know. I feel like it's a good like healthy way for you to like love on other people, but also have people love on you. So you can kind of like reciprocate that love that they have for you to someone else. And same thing with God, you know. He loves you. And I've also heard that like whenever you ask someone how their day is, and they're like, "Oh, I'm here." Nah, dude. You're not. I mean like you are here, but like you're here for a reason. You know? Like understand that reason.
Yeah.
You know? Let Jesus do something with that. Like understand your reason and then just do what he's calling you to do, man. Like he has given me a lot of energy. Jesus has.
That's for sure.
He has given me a lot of energy, and like I've understood what to do with that energy and where to put it towards, and a lot of it can be in a very not progressive way. Like I'm like I have all this energy and I'm like out doing whatever, and like but like I understand that like that's just one of the blessings He's given me. And He's also made me a people person. So, like, with that energy and with being a people person, like, I very much love going after and pursuing people. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%.
It was very much like...
No, you're good.
Going all over the place.
You're good. I love it. No, like, a few things just made me think of, like, I like how you said every day is a new opportunity to meet someone, to do something, experience something. And it just kind of gave me the vibe, like, every day's a new adventure.
It is.
That's kind of the vibe that I got. And that resonates in your, like, the vision that I have of you. That's definitely what I see is, like, you just wake up. It's like every day's a new adventure, man.
You got to, like, tell yourself in the mirror sometimes.
Yeah.
Or, like, you even get that tattooed on you or something. You just got to do it. It very much is, dude. And it is, it's like, everybody gets up. It's like, oh, I don't want to do it. And then, and then you remember that, like, you're here for a reason, and like you're gonna experience something new every single day, and it is so exciting. Like once I walk out my door, I'm like, let's see what it has in store, you know, like let's see what God's gonna provide today, and it could suck, you know. One thing about me is that like in something that like I figured out with Riley is I was so afraid of conflict. Like I was so afraid of it, where like if it arises, like I would avoid conflict. And so whenever it happened in my life, I got so afraid, and I would just like be like, oh, this is the worst thing ever. Like, but like now, like. Even when I have bad days and, like, there's conflict in my days, I get so, like, I don't know, I want to see what I can learn from this, or, like what's going on, and, like, what God is trying to teach me in this moment with this bad day, you know? And so, like, you can, and that's one thing I realized, that, like, just because, like, you're having a good day or a bad day, it doesn't mean there's nothing you're not going to learn from that day. You know, you're always going to take something that God is trying to teach you. And so, like, if anything, I know this sounds really bad, but I look more forward to the bad days than I do the good days.
Interesting.
I learn so much more about myself on the bad days because it's way more genuine. You know, a lot more stuff bubbles to the surface of the bad days, because good days, you know, it could be disingenuous. It could, like, you could put on a front for people and be like, I want you to perceive me as this. you know, but on a bad day, like that's your true raw self.
Mm.
And you learn about yourself, and then
Mhm.
you're like, I want to grow in this area.
Yeah.
But you gotta be super self aware of that, and there's also people that help you in that. So, every day is a new adventure.
Yeah.
Every day,
I love it.
and it's just like it's so fun. You know, it can be scary. 100%, dude. It can be scary, but it's like you get up and you're like, what's in store? Like what's gonna suck today?
Yeah.
What's gonna be good today? Like, but like it's your attitude about it. You know,
Right.
Like, if you're just gonna let the bad days and let the bad things happen, and like you let that affect you, and it just ruins your whole day. Like, what are you learning? Like, what are you contributing to other people's lives? You know,
Mm-hmm.
roll with the punches.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that it made me think of was, I think I saw this on my feed somewhere, and someone asked someone, and they were like, hey, all right, I'm going to give you a deal. All right, would you take this deal?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, I can give you $10 million. I'm just going to give it to you,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't wake up tomorrow. Would you take that deal?
Like you'll never wake up,
You won't wake up tomorrow.
dude. Heck no. Like, what's the point?
Of course not.
What's the point of getting $10 million?
So like hearing that question just made me think like, okay, so what that means, and I don't think anybody would say yes to that.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is that every single day is worth more than that. And yet people wake up like, you know, like more of this, like I've done this before. You know what I mean? And I just watched that video and I was like, man, I wouldn't take that deal.
Right.
And so that means that I value waking up tomorrow more than I would like any amount of money in the world.
Right.
And I'm like, man, I should start living like that.
Dude.
I should start living like it is the opportunity that it is, you know? And so that's what resonated with me from what you were saying. And so I had to ask, so were you always like this?
Nah.
Were you always no?
It's just because of Jesus. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if you wanted to get into like my story, but I was very much like,
We'll go wherever you want to go, man.
dude, I was very much I grew up, my dad was a youth pastor.
Okay.
So like I have 3 siblings, all of them are older, like 10 years older, 9 years older, 6 years older. So I'm like significantly younger than my siblings. And so like it was very hard to connect with them, and it was very hard to connect with my parents because they were also very tense. They're very much like, because like we grew up poor as well for a while. Hamburger helper, food stamps, you know, the spaghetti dinners, like it was.
Oh,
it was,
yeah.
you know, all the hoopla, and so it was very hard to connect with my family because they're always so busy out doing something at that point. And then my mom got a really good job, and so we moved into this nice house. And since we all like weren't in a shared space together anymore in an apartment, we were all off doing our own things all the time. And so as I was like 8 years old, my brother was 18, moving out of the house. 9 years old, my sister was also moving out of the house. And then by the time I was like 12, 13, my other sister was moving out of the house.
Yeah.
And so like I felt very much alone all the time. And by the time I was like 12, 13, just as soon as my sister moved out, my mom realized that my dad has been cheating on her. And so he was kicked out of the house for like 18 months. After that, I had to take care of my mom when she was very upset. A lot of people were, but when it was just me and her, it was very hard because I felt like I had to take care of her at that age. My best friend at the time, I struggled making friends too at that point too, you know. And so my best friend at the time was my dog. His name was Scout. He was an Australian Shepherd / Yellow Lab, and he was the best thing. He was the most perfect dog ever. And like he had this way about him, like if he knew I was upset, he would just come up in my room and lay in my lap, and I was just like, "You're the best." And I'd start crying, man. Like he was so amazing. He passed away like 2 years ago. And it's so sad. And he was my best friend at that time. And so during that like 18 months, I was very angry with my dad. And I had a lot of bitterness and resentment towards him. It was very hard. Because he would try to make like advances back into our lives, you know. And like I didn't want my mom was also very old fashioned, and so like she doesn't want to divorce him.
Yeah.
She wants to make it work, and like I love that about her. But at that time, I was like, just divorce him, like it is, because like you don't. How are you ever gonna trust him again? You know, like after that, like that's one of the worst things you can do to a person. And that's like that. Even like now, that's built into me. Like I'm never gonna do that to somebody because I saw how much it impacted my mom. Yeah, and it was so hard. And so after those 18 months, my dad moved back in, and then I started high school. And so my dad moved back in. He didn't really ask me. He just moved back in, and that was very much a lack of respect. And since moving back in, like he like demanded this authority at that time. Like, who are you to tell me this? He gave me terrible authority issues, dude. Like he like very much so, like where I just like it drove an even bigger gap in our relationship because like I didn't want to do anything because he wasn't a father to me. He was just this man, you know, and it was very sad, and that very much distorted my view of God as well. Yeah, because there's a quote in Fight Club where it's like, your dad's supposed to resemble what God is. Mm-hmm. Your dad left. What does that tell you about God? You know, and so after what my dad did, I wasn't really like a Christian. Yeah, you know, I wasn't. And then after my dad came back, like he drove me farther away from the house with my mom because I didn't want to be home when he was there. So I went out, I did drugs, I smoked, made relationships with people that just enabled that as well. And it was very hard. Yeah, and like going out drinking and being with people that just continued to feed into that. Is very hard because like it still has like lasting effects on relationships I have now. Yeah. And so like my it was hard, and then and it was all just it was just a lot of built up just things with my dad, and it's like you can't really do anything because like he's this authority figure in your life. So it's like I just didn't want to be home. Yeah. Ever. So I then COVID happened. And then I was kind of like in my room doing my thing all the time because my dad is also hypochondriac. And so like all my friends are going out and like seeing each other. I mean, I was like, you're not going to go out because you can come back and like, because he also has asthma. And so during that time with COVID, like if you had asthma, like it was very fatal. Yeah. And so like, if you go out and bring it back, like you're going to kill me. And I hated how much he just had a hold on my life at that moment because I still had so much anger towards him, you know? And so like, I was just like forced to just like lose all my friends, not be with them. Wow. And that's more like looking back, that's more COVID than anything. Like, like I understand him now. Like me and my dad are working towards our relationship, right, even now. But like, but what was really great about that is that I was reached out by my youth pastor at that time, because I like during like high school, like I was like going to like youth like once every like 3 months or something. So like, he knew who he was, or he knew how I was. And he invited me, and he's like, man, come to church. Like, come to youth. Like, we want to see you. And then, like, I was like, no. And then he kept going and persisting. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll come. And then I did, and he put me in this leadership position. Oh. And it was so bizarre because, like, even then there's that shame of, like, I know what I've done. Yeah. I know who I am. And I'm like, he's doing this. Does he know who I am? Does, like, but I feel like he does. And, like, man, it was so hard, but like I loved it. I loved it. I love not being in a leadership position, but like taking part in being involved in other students' lives. Because like I was a student at that time, like I was a senior, and it was very hard to kind of just be in that youth group, knowing like who I am, you know. And so I would go. He'd put me up, like I'd go on the stage and like like host the games and do everything, like, and then like I'd go and then be a part of the youth group after that. But like then he told me you should work at this camp, and so I did, and then I gave my life to Jesus at that camp.
Wow.
After I worked there that summer, and I just remember like breaking down, like in his arms a little bit.
In your youth pastor's arms?
Yeah. I was sobbing. I was like, I know what I've done. I never want to lose this feeling ever. And like, I was just freaking out. And like, I'm be honest with you, I don't even know what the message was about.
Yeah.
But I remember feeling so impacted by it, where I was just, that was the first time I've ever felt like God's grace.
Wow.
Because I've had this sense of like, I feel so fake. I don't know what I'm doing here. I know who I am and like what I've done, what I say, what I do. Like I know that, and like at that moment, he showed me his grace of like, that's okay, that's there, but like I forgive you and I love you, and you just got to know that. Like, and like I know like. The way God sounds in my head is that he's very much like, dude, just chill, you know. Like it's okay, like like very much calming, very much like. So he's like, in that moment, I just felt it, and I just started breaking down in front of my youth pastor, and I was just like, this is amazing that this is a thing, and that he's here, and he's already forgiven me. He's already fighting battle. He's already like fought and won battles that I'm fighting right now. And man, it is, and that's like, I still struggle like, even now with that shame and guilt and bringing that into new relationships now.
Yeah.
But he helps me through it, you know. Jesus helps me through it, and it's so great. And so after that, I met up that year. I met Riley.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Year. So that was really nice.
Was this before SWU?
This was before SWU.
Okay.
So this was
oh, I knew that. Okay. Yeah.
This is 2021 summer.
Okay.
Going into September 2021. In August 29th, I was baptized.
Okay.
Which was really cool. And then I went to Utah, hung out with my brother, which was a lot of fun. Then I started working for this church as an intern. Unpaid intern. And because I wanted to understand, because that even like at the time I feel like I was called to ministry. And so I started working at this church, and then I realized the pain I have of my call to ministry, because I feel like I was called to be a youth pastor, but knowing that was what my dad did. And I just tussled with that, and I was like, "This is I don't want to do this.
Yeah,
I really don't want to do this." And so like he kept telling me in my head, like, you got to do it. Like this is what I've called you to do. You know? And I was like, no. And so when I worked there, I told the guy I was under, his name is Jonathan Wilkerson. He's one of my great friends now, and I just told him, like, I don't want to be a part of the youth part. Like, I know that's what I said I wanted, but like, I don't want that right now. I just want to be in like the tech side of things.
Yeah.
All tech savvy. I want to be cool like that, you know? And so I did. I was part of like, being the back production team, doing all that stuff, which is where I get my MediaCom major too, as well. Like I'm a double major, religion and MediaCom. And so I did that for that whole semester, and then I came to SWU the next semester, that spring semester, 2022. And then like I started meeting everyone. I started like doing that, and I still felt that calling. Like, you know, like I loved SWU, and I loved it so much. And then like so me and Riley knew each other. Like I was working at Riley's home church. So Riley would come back and hang out. So I was really close with Riley at that time as well. So like I wasn't really close to Riley, but like we were friends.
Yeah.
And so when I came to SWU, like she hung out with me a lot, and I started making friends, and then like we'd still hang out, and then like I just kind of learned a lot about myself, and like in like a Christian environment. But I still never like took steps towards my faith. Like I felt very much like I was supposed to be this person. I just wasn't. But yeah. And so, summer came, me and Riley like had feelings for each other.
Oh no.
I know. And then summer, and then, but like we didn't really talk the whole summer. We took like a break for the whole summer. But we saw each other a lot because she came to the camps that I worked at, and I was working for my home church, the one with my youth pastor over the summer. And so I was pouring into those students, and I loved it. And so like Riley would come at those camps as well. But I learned a lot about myself this past summer. And like I realized this summer, like I am called to youth ministry. I got past it. Like I realized that like I can't let what my dad, because even then in that moment it was a little bit of like I can't let him win over me right now. And so like I told God like I'm willing. You know, I'll be obedient just this once. Just this once. Just joking. But it was great because like once I realized that that's what I wanted to do, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it. I loved what I did over the summer. It was so much fun. Like, because there was a week where he just put me in the deep end and I did everything, and I was like, I love this. I love being involved with students. I love planning things. I love making sure the students are having fun and interacting with them and just seeing their faces. And then like, I don't know, it brought so much joy to my heart. And that's how I just knew like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I came back, and then this school year started, and me and Riley started dating. We're 7 months on right now. She's a huge part of my life. She's like, I love her so much, you know. She's the best. But yeah, man, it's that's kind of my testimony. Like super very much detailed than how I usually put it, you know.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I have a way better understanding for my calling. I'm actively pursuing God more than I did last year, just because that's what I want to do. Yeah. And so, to answer your question originally, I was not always happy. I was very much a sad loner. I didn't have a lot of friends in high school. And when I did, like I was friends with the weirdos, you know. Like I played soccer. Then
I could see that.
Yeah, that was fun. I didn't really like play that much because like I just enjoyed watching it, and so like watching it pursued my interest in playing, and so I just played with my friends a lot, and it was a lot of fun. I
remember you going crazy during the World Cup.
Dude,
every time, dude, I would hear you from the other side of Blue Hill, man.
Wow. And then I actually started to like not watch the World Cup after I heard about so in Qatar they had like these indentured servants, like people who don't like build the stadiums, and then like so many of them died, and they try to like cover it up. And so I was like, that sucks. And so I didn't want to watch the World Cup after that, you know. But like I was really bummed about it. Yeah. But like it just sucks that happened. Yeah. And then I was also super bummed that Wales got knocked out, and it was just really bad, you know. But yeah, dude, it was so much fun. This school year has been really fun because I'm like pursuing my interest in ministry as well. Yeah. And so I've been enjoying life, man. No, but yeah, I burped, sorry.
We'll cut it out, don't worry.
Okay, there's another one.
I won't cut that
out. I'd wake up and I'd dread waking up because like I didn't want to do life, you know. Life is very much a chore. And so like kind of with the same thing with Riley, like over the summer, like I appreciate her so much because of like I didn't have her over the summer, you know. Like she's one of my favorite people ever. Like even before we were dating, like she was one of my favorite people. And like there was so much I wanted to tell her. There's just like things like inside jokes. I'm like, man, I wish I could have like told her about this, or I wish I could like have her here for me in this moment. And I missed that so much over the summer. And then, like, I have this newfound appreciation for her because I didn't have that time with her. And I'm just like, man, like, that sucked when I wasn't with her. It really did.
Yeah.
But like now, like, I have her, but like I never want to take that for granted. Just because I love her so much, and like I know what it's like without her, and I hate it. And so I'm always gonna be actively pursuing her, actively, just making her a part of my life, and just because that's how much she means to me. So like kind of like my day, you know, I woke up every day like back like I hated it. Now, like, with God, I have this newfound appreciation for my days. Because I've also, like, understood, like, they could be very limited. Yeah. I don't want to be that type of person, like, make every day your last, or treat every day your last.
YOLO
It, man. But, like, for real, YOLO it.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of...
I hear you.
It's kind of stupid, but, like, Brent Angel has been, like, made that huge thing. He's like, flip the script. That's something he said to me that's always resonated with me. It's just that, like, go out of the norm. So your day, so you can decide if you want to make your day the same. You can. If you feel like you have this same routine every day, that's on you. Flip the script. Do something different. Try something new. You know, I have food over here. I have this new thing I'm trying. It's a hoagie from the grill. Like, why? You know?
Why are you trying to hoagie?
Just want to try it, you know? So it's like the new experiences.
Yeah.
Do something different. Like go out of your comfort zone. If a friend invites you to go somewhere, go there with them, you know? Like, that's something, that's a new person that you have this opportunity to bond with or to grow with, you know? Like, it's so, like, take every opportunity as they come. Be logical, though.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
like,
true.
If you have to
Don't
do
take
homework,
too much.
but like, if you're not going to do anything and you're just chilling in Blue Hill and someone's like, hey, like, come with me to Walmart, go.
Yeah.
It could be like the most fun time in your life, but at the same time, like, you could die, you know? And so, like,
I have almost died on a Walmart trip.
dude,
Yeah.
it happens.
Oh, yeah. Can I tell you a story?
Yeah.
So I was with somebody. I won't name drop them on the podcast, but I was with somebody. We were just driving in, and you know how that entrance is. You got like parking on this side, parking on this side. Somebody, it's two parking spaces, and they were just pulling out of this parking spot, and they're just coming through as we're going like this. There were two cars here, and they just like split the middle, just kept coming. The person I wasn't driving, I was in the passenger seat, so they swerved over here. And then I was like, all right, we're fine. And they just started yelling, like, ah. And I'm like, what are you doing? We're fine. Like, you almost died. And I'm like, but I didn't. We're fine.
Oh, my gosh.
And so it was a close call, but you're right. I almost died on a Walmart trip. It's true.
But, like, wasn't that fun, though?
Dude, it was great. It was great. They were terrified that I was going to lose my life. And I was like, nah, we're fine.
That adrenaline junkie in you.
100%. Dude, I don't fear death. I just fear not living.
What?
You know what? I don't fear death. I just fear not living. Like I would rather. I'm not afraid of dying, but I am afraid of spending the rest of my life just loafing around.
Okay, I get that now. I thought it was just like the same thing. It was like, I'm not afraid of death, but I'm afraid of like not living.
Oh,
I'm dead,
like yeah.
Like not living. Oh man,
Yeah,
dude, live your life, man. You know,
100%.
live your life.
So, man, there's so much good stuff I want to touch on because there seems to be like a lot of wrestling with that call to ministry.
Yeah.
Seems to be just like a huge transformation in your testimony, which is awesome. But the one thing I wanted to touch on was this word empathy. Do you see yourself as an empathetic person? Because I would say 100%. I just want to hear what you would say.
Yeah, I would say I am, just because I've had experiences with people that aren't empathetic. I had some trouble over the summer, or not the summer, over winter break this past one with my family. And like I was like, everybody, if there's so much stuff going on, like all my family was so hectic and everything, and I was trying to contribute as much as I can to my family. Like everybody's working hard too, but like I was trying to contribute as much as I can, and like I've always had this struggle in my family, They're like, since they're all older, like I used to hear a lot like your problems aren't as bad as my problems because I'm older, you know, like. So I asked for one night on Christmas Eve. I was like, can we just go do like a classic Christmas Eve thing? Like we used to do like sit down and watch the 24-hour Christmas Story marathon. And we would do that and like eat cookies and we made like root beer floats and stuff. And so we started to do that. And then one of my family members like invited their friends over. And that like really hurt me because it didn't really make me feel very valued. And the next day I was trying to talk to another family member about it. And like they got very defensive, and I was like, I very much, whenever I get into like a conflict like that, I constantly want people to see like my perspective just so they understand. And just like they just weren't very empathetic about it, you know, and it hurt me a lot. Like they called me selfish, because I wanted time with them, you know, and it was hard, you know, and that like hurt me a lot. And like I was on the phone with another one of my family members talking about it because they're out of the state by then. And they're like, man, like some people just don't really get it. Some people just don't really understand it. You know, they just can't. Like it's hard for them, and like can't be disappointed by that. So and that comes along with me and expectations as well of people, you know.
Yeah.
Like I expect people to kind of be similar to me, in the way I like approach things, and they're just not. Like I can't be disappointed if they act a completely different way than I expect them to. And so like that can be a complete lack of empathy, too much empathy, you know, like, and I just. That's something I just learned, and so like it's not like I'm necessarily seeing the worst in people right now, but it's just like I'm not gonna like, because I was in my room the whole Christmas morning after that, just chilling, because I was just sitting in it. I was like, this sucks.
Yep.
And so I just, it was terrible.
Do you think that your empathy, the empathy that you're able to cast on to other people and sympathize with them, or sorry, I won't say sympathize, empathize with them and just kind of see them in their struggle, and like I said before, kind of bring it down to their level, just be like, man, I'm so sorry, do you want to talk about it? Do you think that comes from experiences where it's been rough for you and like the pain that you felt in the past, and so does that help you now empathize with other people who are going through it?
100%.
Yeah.
I have this student where he's in a very similar situation with his family as I was growing up. Not necessarily with the parents, but like with his siblings. Is that like they very much don't want to spend time with him because he's significantly younger than them. Yeah. And so like I love interacting with him and hanging out with him because like, you know, he's a little punk. I love him a lot. You know? Yeah. And so like I want to be that person I wish I had to him.
Ooh.
You know?
That's good.
I really want to be that person for him because I wish I had someone like that, you know? And so I don't want him to feel like he's alone.
Right. On that note, this is something I wanted to ask as you're going through your story. So if you could talk to, you can take this either way, if you could talk to either maybe yourself in high school who was going through it with the anger, with the bitterness, with feeling alone, all that stuff. If you could talk to him, or if you could just, maybe just if you want to give any kind of general advice, just people like going through high school, people going to the season that you've just been brought out of, like what would you want to say to them? Those people who don't feel like they have anybody, those people who feel bitter against the world, who don't want to wake up in the morning. What would you want to say to those people?
Wow. Lots of things.
Yeah.
I don't think there's just one thing I'd want to say because there's so much I had to learn. You're not alone, nor will you ever be alone. Whether that's with just people or that's with God. Just know that like, if you're one of those people, I was one of these people that need evidence of kind of God's presence, see that through people. That's the best evidence you're ever going to get. Because, like, understand people's testimonies and see how far they came through that. You're never too far gone. You're never going to be too far gone. And as much as you think you are, you're not.
That's something that I've actually heard a lot on the podcast. That's a message that a lot of people want to broadcast. And for whatever reason, that touches a lot of people that come on here. Just the fact that so many people feel like they are. So many people feel like, I've done too much, I've been through too much, I've seen too much, whatever it is, man. But that's just a statement I keep on hearing echoed. You are never too far from God. Isn't that awesome?
It's amazing, dude. I love that that's a thing. But like steps, like this is something that I feel like should be talked about more, because like I have this other student, in the youth like group I worked at. He gave his life to Jesus in that summer I worked at, and then I met up with him in February for this guys retreat for the same district, and he told me he was an atheist. And that crushed my heart.
Yeah.
And if only I knew that he was struggling with that again, or like if he was given the steps to self-sustain, to put people in his life to hold him accountable, to further his life with Jesus. Because after camp, you don't know what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And like in all honesty, a lot of youth pastors don't go out and reach out after that either. And so it's easy to slip back in. It's so easy to slip back in, especially after like in a huge event like that, because like it can be emotional. Yeah. But you felt something there. You did. You felt Jesus. You gave your life to Jesus.
That is one thing that I've heard a lot is people kind of discredit because it is so emotional. And I heard that like that's kind of been a thing with summer camps for forever. But I also heard that with the Asbury Revival, where people are like, oh, they're just so emotional and that's what's going on, But here's what I will say. Sometimes emotions can feel like the Holy Spirit. Sometimes an emotional moment, you're just like, oh man, the Holy Spirit's really moving. But here's the thing. When the Holy Spirit is moving, many times it will be emotional. And I think that's what people need to realize is not every emotion that you feel is the Holy Spirit. Right. Not every summer camp song is the Holy Spirit. Right. But when you do feel the Holy Spirit, it will be emotional. And so you can't just discredit the emotional part, because that's expected. Yeah. That's something that's going to happen, because I'm sure for you, like, you felt far. You felt like, man, I was too far, right? You felt like, man, there's no way that I can really live up to this calling that God gave me. But the Holy Spirit that reached out to you, that went after you, I'm sure that was emotional. Yeah. Realizing like, I think I'm too far, but God doesn't. Right? And that, man, like that's what gets you, right?
It's powerful. I don't really know what else to say. What other thing can make you feel like that? Nothing else, Nothing can make you feel that worthy, and it's nice because like without God, you do feel alone. But like it's nice to have you feel like that there's someone in your corner rooting for you all the time.
Yeah.
It is so sick. It is so cool, dude. I would say, if you are in a state or season of shame, guilt, and conviction, do something with that. talk to someone. Talk to someone that you trust, and talk to someone that you know will put you on the right path and that will echo what God has for you. It is so easy to sit in your shame and your guilt.
Yeah.
I know from experience, dude. It is so easy to do that. He doesn't want you to do that, though. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like there is a huge difference between shame and conviction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you kind of just gotta like recognize that a little bit. You gotta know that like having this shame and recognizing your shame, it means you're still sitting in it and you're still just like, I'm the worst.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. But like being convicted of your sin, like say for example, like sexual sin, like porn and masturbation, like you can sit in that and you can just be like, I'm just disgusting. I'm this terrible human being. Having this conviction that God puts in your heart is like, I see this in me. I don't want it there anymore. Don't sit in your shame. Understand the conviction God's placed in your heart, because that's a lot of people can get that confused as well. Is that you'd be like, they think it's just the shame. They're like God's and like a lot. This is something I did a long time too. Is that I feel like God is against you in that. He's mad at you.
Right.
He's mad at you, and like you feel that shame and that like he's upset with you and he's disappointed in you. He is not. He wants you to be better. He just wants you to want that for you.
One time I was preaching a sermon, and one of the things that I said is so many people feel like God is coming at them with like a gavel, like that a judge uses.
Yeah.
And like God's just chasing after him, because when he gets there, he wants to just beat him upside the head. Be like, you're doing all this wrong. And that's what so many people feel like. Yeah. And that is kind of what it feels like to be far away from God. It feels like God is coming after you just because he wants to point out everything that's wrong with you. And I said a line in the sermon. I said, God is not running after you because he wants to judge you. God is running after you because he wants to love you. And thank goodness for that.
Dude, right. He just wants to give you a hug.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And that's how I see it. You know,
a holy hug.
Just a good hug.
He wants to give you a holy hug.
And he's cheering you on all the time, even when it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
And it's so nice to kind of like know that. Like, even in my struggles, even my worst times, like, he's just like, it's okay.
You know what's crazy is the calling that you had to go into youth ministry. You were called to that even at your lowest moment. The calling that God placed on you, he was not confined to the lifestyle that you were living. He said, I know who I made. He said, I know who my son is. And even when you were so far, God was still like, I know that you're going to be a solid youth pastor someday. And that's why I want to call you into that. I think that's so cool. That God can do that. That God can see past those seasons, and even if we are so far, it's like he has this ability to see past our sin because he loves us so much. Yeah. And he has this ability to see past our sin just to see his son that is struggling. And he has such a desire and such a love to just want to help, to just want to run after, to just want to give it that holy hug, man. Yeah. That holy hug. I love that term. I'll start using that term.
Holy hug. First off, I just want to say, like, I hope I'm being a youth pastor. Not just because.
Oh, you will.
I hope so. You know, like that's something I really want, because like that's something that saved me.
Yeah.
You know, but I also had to make sure, and I do this a lot, that I don't like the idea of things.
What do you mean?
Like I didn't know if I wanted to be a youth pastor because I like the idea of being a youth pastor. Like I like being that cool youth pastor that does all these cool things. Like I just wanted to make sure, like in my calling, like this is like God has placed this on my heart for a reason, not just because I want to do it to be this cool guy that that plans all these fun things.
Yeah.
It's just cool in front of all these students, you know. But like, that this is something I'm very passionate about, and this is something that like I want to do for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, and I do that a lot, even like in my relationship with Riley. In all honesty, like I made sure, like, do I just like the idea of Riley, or do I really love Riley as a person? And over the
interesting.
and like even then, like, taking time for myself to like help myself grow. Like I asked myself that, and I love her. You know, that's what's so great, is that like I love her, and it's like I don't just like the idea of Riley. I love who she is and everything about her. You know.
Yeah. I don't want to pivot away, but I wanted to ask you this, because you're talking about your friend who, you know, saved, was it the same camp you were, right? Or one of people in your youth group, right?
Yeah, who was saved, and then
and then came back to you later. For someone who is in a position of wrestling and struggling with the question of, does God even exist?
Yeah.
Do you have any words that you would want to say to them? Or maybe you can even talk about, like, what does it mean to really enter a relationship with God? And what did that do for you, if you want to go into that at all?
Yeah, so that was one thing he kept saying to me, is that like he kept providing this scientific evidence that like God isn't real. And I'm just like, well, what's your evidence that God isn't real? You know, and then like he would say like all these things. I don't really remember, because it's just like, you know, he was just trying to like, and it's very much like, I don't really think he's that passionate about it. I just think that he just wanted to argue about it. But like, what was so cool about it is that like I was there. I was where he was at. And so I was like, bro, I know exactly where you're at, because I was there. And now like I'm the evidence of what happened, or what God has happened to me. I am the evidence. And I don't want to say it's me, but like people are the evidence. Like I was saying this earlier, like if this can happen to me when I was like you, because of what God has happened to me, and he's changed my life for good, that's evidence enough. You know, like that's
really good.
He kind of shut up for a minute. I thought about it, and it was kind of cool. I was like, Yahtzee. But, no, I'm just joking. But like, we sat in that for a minute. Like we didn't say anything. He was just kind of like contemplating it, because he was just like, I don't know. It was because I even like thought of it myself, and I was like, wow, that wasn't even me saying that either. Like I didn't even. Dude, so if you're wrestling with God, and even the idea that God is real, like I feel like he shows it to you in so many ways, but you just got to be able to take that leap. That's all you have to do. And like I know that sounds like super basic and everything, but like I would second guess everything about God. I would second guess like, and I'd just be like, is he really real? Is it just a coincidence? Or is he really real? Or is it just like, what's going on? And like, that's something that I even struggle with going into school year, in all honesty. It was just like so hard for me to like fully know if God was there. But he has made himself so evident to me since me being faithful to him. All you got to do is just trust in him. And then he'll make himself evident to you. But you got to take the leap. You know, you got to take that step off and just like fully trust him and what he's going to do in your life. And that's super hard to do, especially like in this generation. It's so easy to not do that, because there's so many other things that are so more attractive. Like I want to live my life because I know what's best for me, and I want to live my life because I don't want to give up this one thing I have. But a relationship with God isn't necessarily like giving up all everything. You're not a monk, you know, like, you know, he's pruning you.
That's right.
It's not unattractive to follow life with Jesus because he's making your life better. It may not seem like it, but the more you follow him, the more you're like, I really want you to cut this out because I can see, or like not cut it out, but like prune it out because like I see the damage this has done.
Yeah, that resonates with me. And Oh no, I was gonna ask you a question. I forgot.
Oh, crap.
Oh no. Let's see here. No, I just love how you say, like, hey, you know, you can argue all these like science things, like, is God real? Does God exist? And, oh, well, Christians have been wrong about this, and the church has done this in the past. And it's like, how can I believe in God? And you just say, because look how God changed me. Because, like, there was something that changed in me. You know, I was listening to a clinical psychologist online, and one thing that they said was really, really interesting. And they said people do not get over an addiction to alcohol without something approximating a religious transformation. And I was like, that's interesting. And he said it has to be either an actual religious transformation, or it has to be something that is to the same degree, to the same level somehow.
Really?
And I was like, that's interesting, because so many people relapse when they try to fight that. And actually, you know what, I think that's a good point, is that, like, there are things that we are going to struggle with, because, like, you see even Jesus walking in the wilderness, Satan came after him after his 40 days of fasting, 40 days of eating no food. And what did Satan do? Hey man, you want some bread? Shh. Just turn those rocks to bread, dude. You can do it, right? And so it's like, if even Jesus was tempted like that, of course we're going to face some things.
Right.
But we cannot beat it alone.
No.
And it's so easy to take comfort in the current lifestyle that we're doing because it's familiar.
Yeah.
It is so easy to stay in the dark because you look at the light and you're like, that's too bright. That's going to expose too much. I don't want to walk into that. But there is a power of going to God, and God helping you, not by forcing you or shoving you, but God just by taking you step by step to kind of walk out of that darkness and go into the light. And as you go into that light, it exposes more and more things. And as you feel exposed, I think that's conviction in this analogy. And it's like, man, I want to get rid of these things now that they're in the light. But it's so easy to just not tackle them while you're in the dark.
It's kind of like your eyes being adjusted in the darkness.
Right.
The more you sit in the darkness, the more your eyes get adjusted.
Right. And you hate the light, you know? It's like, I don't want to turn on the light, dude.
And once you allow yourself to open up to light just a little bit, the more your eyes get adjusted to the light.
Mm-hmm.
The more your eyes kind of just like, I can handle this now.
Mm-hmm.
I can be in this.
Mm-hmm.
But you just got to allow yourself to step out of the darkness and stop sitting in it. And because the more you sit in it, the more your eyes get adjusted, and the more you see better in the darkness.
Yeah.
You shouldn't.
I think, 100%. I think that there are some moments where God just turns the lights on us, and sometimes we need that. And that's just the huge 180 Paul Damascus road. I mean, someone just having an addiction, boom, one day, never going back. But I think a lot of times that the Christian journey is not just a 180. It's a messing with the slider and just like slowly turning the light up and just slowly turning it up. So you realize, oh, you know what? I never realized this in my life. But now that it's light enough, I realize this, and God, I don't want to hold on to this. And there's even a principle that I talk about a lot, how it's there's a passage that Paul talks about. It's actually the fruits of the Spirit. And what a lot of people everybody knows the fruits of the Spirit, but what a lot of people don't know is that right before the fruits of the Spirit, there's also the habits of the flesh. So he lists out the habits of the flesh and he lists out the fruits of the Spirit. And the way that I look at the passage, he actually paints this picture where the fruits of the Spirit are on one side and the habits of the flesh, the desires of the flesh is what he calls them, are on the other side. And he's like, and you start in the middle. And if you walk towards the desires of the flesh, then you are walking further away from the Holy Spirit. But on the flip, and that's what so many people do who aren't pursuing God. They're just going to get further and further and further from Him. That's what like our culture and society has done. That's why it's so messed up, because we just kept taking steps right in that direction, just bringing us further. But on the flip side, the further that you step towards the Holy Spirit, the closer that you step towards the Holy Spirit, now the further you are getting from those desires of the flesh. And they seem way more unappealing. And I'm sure that you can testify to that.
Dude, yeah.
Where it's like, you know, those used to be the things that I took comfort in. Those people used to be people that I loved hanging out with, I felt safe with, I felt normal with. But then you start to walk away from that. And it's like, you look back and it's like, man, I'm glad that's not me anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not easy,
Dude. The best thing I can say for that as well, just not be discouraged when you do fall short.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the 3 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah.
But the 1 step back can always feel like 10.
Yeah.
It's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. Never be discouraged when you're trying to grow or trying to get, like, even with an addiction, if you're just trying to grow, don't be discouraged when you do fall short.
Mm-hmm.
Best thing you can do is be like, is just feel convicted, repent, and keep going.
Yeah.
You just gotta keep going.
Always go back to God. You know, interesting study that I did. Difference between David and Solomon. David was known as a man after God's own heart. God blessed him until the end of his life. But David, he had a huge scandal with Bathsheba. And he killed a man. So he committed adultery and secondhand murder, right? Both huge, huge violations. And what did he do? He confessed and he repented. And then you see God's hand still be with him and still bless him and still all of that. Difference with Solomon, Solomon turned away. There's never any evidence of Solomon repenting. And he just constantly turns away and the kingdom falls apart after he dies. And I think that even if you mess up, there's such power in repentance.
Yeah.
There's such power in being willing to go to God. And it's so difficult sometimes, but depending on like your perception of God. But that's the only way to do it, really. Like that's the only way to actually get out of something is even when you fall, you got to go back to God.
Right.
You got to. So I heard a preacher call it the get back time. He's like, dude, my get back time, it's quick. Like I'll slip, boom, get back. It's like slip, I'm back. And I think that's a fine analogy because even when we mess up, it's not something to sit in.
Right.
The shame is not something to sit in, but it's something to take to God and say, God, I know that you have the power to bring me through this, and I cannot do it alone. And so I just want to go to you and ask that you would help me. So, yeah.
David wasn't too far gone.
Mm.
A lot of people, I know a lot of people like after he sent the men to go die. I just know a lot of people that just don't like David.
Yeah,
you know, like especially like with that, like why did he get to keep going? Why was he still blessed? And we're allowed to make mistakes. I mean, there were some pretty bad mistakes. Like what he did it sucks, but like you got to be able to forgive and forgiving yourself and knowing that like you're not ever too far gone, ever. Ever.
Man, that's so key.
So key, bro.
That's so key. So, you know what's crazy about the story of David is Uriah the Hittite was Bathsheba's husband. You know what's crazy? Uriah the Hittite is listed as the last name in the list of mighty men of David. The mighty men of David were the men who, when David was on the run from King Saul, those are the band of misfits and outcasts and criminals that he assembled and he brought together. And Uriah was one of those people who stuck with David. And that's what hits me so much. When I read his name in that list, I was like, oh my word. David did not just pick any random person in the army. He knew him. And Uriah stuck with him, and David still stabbed him in the back.
That's terrible.
So, like, I know that, you know, I know how it feels, but I wanted to point that out because it makes it sound a lot worse.
Yeah.
And it makes it a lot worse, to be quite honest. But when you see that is just such a testament to God's love.
Yeah.
To God saying, like, man, you messed up bad. And David knew that he messed up bad. But he was not too far, like you said. And man, that is so good. That is so good. And so, yeah, no. So let me take a pivot a little bit for our last few minutes. So you are the first person on here who actually has podcasting experience. Yeah. So you run, can I talk about Reach Podcast? Yeah. So you run the Reach Podcast, and I want to just ask you a question. What was kind of your goal behind doing that? What's the purpose behind that?
I really enjoy intentionality. And I feel like a lot of people, like, they come to Reach and they see it, but I want them to understand, like, my whole goal with, like, the Beyond Reach podcast is so people have, like, a better understanding. So people, like, because I ask them all the time, like, what's your story?
Yeah.
So people know like the speaker, and so people know like why they chose to spoke about that message. What happened? What did God tell them? Like it's like I love the behind the scenes on that.
Yeah.
I want people to be like, man, that hits me so much harder now that I know like
where that
like,
came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like they seen the show because like they could like even if they did talk about themselves on stage, but like they usually don't. They just talk about their message. And dude, it was I don't know. I just really enjoy understanding it better because like I'm very intrigued, and I feel like a lot of people are also very intrigued, And so I love it. I love doing it. Haven't done it in a while though because it's just been a lot of scheduling issues.
Oh, dude, tell me about it with podcasts, dude, bro. It's a nightmare.
It's so hard, but I love it. I love the behind. I'm just very much that type of person, especially with movies and everything. Like I love seeing the behind the scenes of movies, even though if it kind of ruins the movie for me a little bit. Like I hope I don't do that with people.
Right.
But like, because like, but I also don't want people to just like the idea of something and just like not understand the full intentions behind it. Yeah. All right, kind of like a movie. It's like it's lying to you a little bit like with CGI and stuff. Like it's lying to you. Like that's not really there. So
you telling me the Hulk isn't real?
Dude, the Hulk is not real.
What?
But that one dude that like they painted green and what was his name? Crap. But like
you're talking about the old version of the Hulk?
Yeah. Yeah. Like super he had like the Caesar cut and everything, like the 80s haircut.
Yes, dude.
Dude, so that guy was real.
That's true.
That guy was real.
That's true. 100%.
But like I just want to make sure that like people don't feel like they're not being intentional with them. Like we're not lying to them. Right. Like a movie. Like it's not really there, but like
that's really good. Yeah. I like that. One thing you made me think of is I don't know if you knew this, but I preached every Friday last semester. And I loved it so much, and I would love to go back to it next semester. I'll definitely have to look at my schedule and consider it. Definitely want to go back to maybe like once a month and trying it, something like that. Anyway, off topic, but last semester, what I love about those sermons is it was I think 12, 13 sermons that I did, just with like time off. I didn't preach, but or like breaks I didn't preach. But what I love about those sermons is I look back at those, and I know where they came from. And no one else would ever be able to piece this together because they didn't know the behind the scenes. But those sermons follow my life. Yeah. And those sermons follow what I was struggling with, what I was questioning at the time, when something awesome happened, when I realized something. And like those sermons were the story of me throughout my first semester of college. Yeah. And what's crazy is the first one was nothing like the last one. Because last semester, I think you can relate to this too from what you were saying. The person I walked onto this campus first semester is not the same person who walked off. And like, hey, thank God for that. I don't exactly have a testimony of who I was before Christ because I accepted him at such a young age. But I always like to say my testimony is who I would be without Christ. And I am constantly going through that process and constantly going through that journey. And so I love that vision of like getting the behind the scenes. And I want to ask, is there anything that you do beforehand to either hype yourself up for it or like calm yourself down for it? Is there something you got to do for the guests to make them kind of get ready, get comfortable? Because like I film with Matt and John and we're kind of in the motions. We're used to it now. Yeah. But like for someone who's never done a podcast, like it can be tough.
Right.
Yeah. It can be awkward. So, do you have like a pregame routine?
I'm trying to think.
That you go through?
Like I'm just ready to go all the time. Like I'm always on go mode.
Okay.
And so like for me, but like I know for some people, what I've been doing recently after is I pray for them after. And what I want to start doing now is I pray for them before. Just calm the nerves. Be like, God's got this. Just like I know that's like. Very much like not like a pregame like song, but like it helps me and it helps other people as well. But it's so like it's so calming. It's even just like for me, like when I think of God's presence, like it helps me, like especially when I speak, like to me He is calming. Prayer to Him is calming to me because I'm talking to Him, and He's talking back, and so it's. But for me, like I'm not really hyped up on there because like I try to be, but it's very hard because like I I very much stick to the script, and so I like.
Yeah.
It sucks. I want to allow myself to like branch out more, but I just didn't. You know? So, but I want to do that.
Yeah,
and kind of like personalize it a little bit more. But I love it, dude. It's so much fun. I don't really have like this hype thing up, and like other people I interview as well. Like they're not really that nervous either. Well, sometimes they are, but like they're not super nervous, or they're like, because it's just like, I think the only thing I tell them is that we're just having a conversation.
Yeah,
you know? Just talk to me. And
that's the way to do it.
It's like we're just talking.
Yep.
Just tell me about. I know I just hooked up a mic under your shirt. Not a woman though. Like I know I just hooked up a mic under your shirt. Yeah. There's 3 cameras looking at us, but like, bro, tell me about your life.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Just talk to me.
Yep. I love it. Like one of the things with this podcast, the kind of the vision for it is always developing. But what I love about it right now, after like the first episode, I realized that like it's a very sneaky way to share the gospel.
Yeah.
Because half the clips that come out of most of these podcasts are just goofing off, just having fun, making jokes. And so people, if they see that, they're like, oh, these guys are funny. They check out another clip. They're not suspecting when we slap them with the gospel. Boom. We just, boom, out of nowhere.
Right there.
Jesus. Boom. Right. And I love that because conversation, I think, is one of the most powerful forms of evangelism that we can do with this generation. Because I think like I try with my online ministry, but a lot of it is like preaching at people. And like I'm trying to teach people, I evangelize and disciple, help more people know and see God is the bio. But so many people there's some people that see that and like, great, I hope that God can use it. But I think there's such a value in people just listening to conversation. Yeah. And being reached through that and hearing your story through a conversation, right? And just telling them like, hey, what's the proof of God? I am. The fact that I'm sitting here, who I am today, I'm the proof. Yeah. And that's so powerful. That is so awesome.
And like, I feel really bad saying that like all the time. Cause I've said this.
No, that's so good.
But like, I just like, yeah, man, I'm this really cool guy now. Like I'm the proof, I'm it. I feel like I'm not trying to like.
I hear you.
I want to humble myself in front of the Lord, but like I like when I told him that I was like I really sounded like a really pretentious dude, but like I mean it. Like
yeah,
a huge part of my testimony that like I always say this is that like I never in my life did I think I was ever gonna end up where I am right now. Like 5 years ago, never thought I'd be here.
Yeah,
never.
Yep.
But I am. And it's weird, so.
And I'm sure you got hope now.
So much hope. I don't even know what to do with
it. Well, that is awesome, man. It is now 6:47. So I just wanted to go ahead and give you an opportunity just to kind of close this out. If you have any closing remarks, if you want to promote the podcast, say the name, say anything like that, I just want to give you space. Go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
To close this out.
Beyond Reach, YouTube and Spotify. It's kind of cool. Check it out if you want. Not really. I get really weird when people watch my stuff. So I'm just joking. But, man, God loves you. Even when you feel like he doesn't. He does. And that's something I'd wrestle with a lot, but he does. And I love you.
Hey, so, there we go.
If you ever want to talk, let me know. I'll always be there for you. Here's my number. And I just you bleep out the whole thing.
I put it in there.
Here's my number. Text me if you want.
Just put like 911.
Like the Central County Jail or something. I don't know. But yeah, no, in all seriousness, if you're struggling in your walk and you're struggling to fully follow and know Jesus, just take the step. Mm-hmm. Surround yourself with people that'll help you in that walk as well. So, thank you so much. I'm very thankful to be on here. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for doing it. Great. Well, as a tradition, I always like to pull over the laptop.
Do it.
I usually have it open. This time I had it closed, and I say, ladies and gentlemen, we're done. Woo! And that's it.